Welcome back to my channel. My name is LaShawn and this is Lush Uncut. For the last 10 years or so, the left has been trying to convince us of the lies that they continue to tell themselves. Things like life begins after birth, that male and female are social constructs and not biological reality, that the COVID shot stopped the spread of the virus, that masks work, and the most absurd lie of all times is that Kamala Harris would have made a good president. Now, you would think that after November 5th, 2024, and Trump's victorious return to the White House, that the left would have learned their lesson and chosen a new path, or at least stop being so annoying. However, it does not seem like they have learned their lesson, and it also doesn't seem as if they're going to learn that lesson anytime soon. The most recent example of this has been this controversy with Elon Musk apparently doing a Nazi salute at Trump's inauguration rally a couple of days ago. So here's the footage of the alleged crime against humanity.
You know, there are elections that come and go. Some elections are, there are elections that come and go. Some elections are, this one really mattered. Or not, but this one. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. This one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you. My heart goes out to you.
So obviously, as you can see, he was not doing a Nazi salute. That was not his intention. He was being weird. And a lot of people are saying that those of us on the right that's, defending him and saying, listen, that's Elon Musk. He's very eccentric, very extra. He can get very excited in these settings and tends to be a little bit too much, at least for my taste. They're saying that, no, we're ignoring it. He was obviously doing a Nazi salute. Now, even if, right, you were to dismiss the idea that he was just being himself, right? Let's say, no, he wasn't being himself, right? Think about it for 2.5 seconds. What would motivate Elon Musk to do a Nazi salute at Trump's inauguration rally situation thing, whatever that was? Like, this is the most richest man on earth. He has now aligned himself very closely with Donald Trump. He has a lot on the line when it comes to Trump's ability to be successful. His entire business at this point is dependent on that. He wants to have his name associated with America placing a flag on Mars. That's honestly, in my opinion, that's part of his motivation. He wants to see mankind be great and all of that. But obviously, there's personal ambition that is very much a part of that, which I am totally fine, honestly speaking. I'm fine with that. So with all on the line, his millions of dollars, all his billions, I should say, all the businesses that he is in charge of, what would motivate him to do something as absurd as to do a Nazi salute at an event like that, right? Just for 2 seconds, just use your brain, do some critical thinking. And if you did, you would come to the conclusion that actually that's not what he did. But like I said before, the left has not learned their lesson. They refuse to critically think. And even the ones that do critically think, for some weird reason, they end up at these same absurd conclusions, that Elon Musk was in fact doing a Nazi salute. So here's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the most obscene and insane leftist of them all, yelling on Instagram about Musk and his Naziing.
You're going to do a Sig Heil? You're going to do a Hail Hitler? Or their rebrand a Roman salute from behind the presidential seal of the United States of America? It's on. It's on. And what is so important for us to understand is that as long as we don't give up, it's not over. It's not over. It is not over.
You see, the thing about it is, AOC, it is over because y'all lost. And the reason why y'all lost is because of nonsense like this. And I have said this before and I will say it again. I refuse to believe that someone in AOC's position with the amount of influence and power that she has actually believes the nonsense that she's saying. She's doing that because she knows that's what her base likes to hear. Okay, she is a bumbling buffoon for most of the times. Yes, she's not the most intelligent person in Washington, D.C., but she's not that dumb to actually believe that Elon Musk was doing a Nazi salute, which really goes to show the lack of respect that she has for her constituents and her supporters, to sit there and continuously lie to these people purposely just for her own political gain and convenience. And honestly, at this point, right, I am so entirely over this whole leftist panic over things like this. They did this at the end of Trump's campaign when he had that rally in Madison Square Garden, when they called it a Nazi rally. And because Nazis had a rally there, I think in like 1930 something, whatever the case may be, and they tried the whole Trump is Hitler thing towards the end of the campaign, and then Trump still won. So if you're still falling for this, then you're willfully being an idiot. And honestly speaking, there really is not much for me to say to you, because if you still believe to this day that Republicans are Nazis, then there's not much that I can really say to you, because you're just lost in the sauce entirely. Like, you don't have to sit there and agree with everything that Republicans, stand for, every Republican principle, every conservative principle. You have the free will to disagree on issues politically, but at least do so from a place of honesty and truth and reality and critical thinking. And if you're still falling for this nonsense, then that's not what you're doing. You're purposely choosing ignorance in an era where you have unlimited access to unlimited information, which again makes you an idiot. And at this point, honestly speaking, this is good news for us conservatives and us Republicans, because Trump's win last year really told us that America in general, most normal Americans that literally just want to live a regular life, they're sick of this nonsense. So we don't even have to address this in the same way that we used to. We can actually actively dismiss this, because America is dismissing it, so we can dismiss it. And if the mainstream media and people the likes of AOC are going to continue down this path, if they have decided to hold themselves captive to wokeness and this nonsense ideology and this method of communicating their ideologies to their constituents and their supporters, if this is the path that they're going to willfully choose after November 5th, 2024, then so be it. We will be winning elections for a very long time, and I am perfectly fine with that. So moving on from that, the next story that I want to talk about is this whole situation with this reverend. I think her name is Marianne Edgar Boudet, or Bud. She made headlines in the last 24 hours after making the conscious decision of taking the opportunity to lecture Donald Trump and his family, and JD Vance and his family, about wokeness in what was supposed to be a pretty sacred, serious service. I think it was like the National Prayer Service or something of that sort, but she took the opportunity to speak complete garbage. Let's take a look at that.
Mr. President, millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meatpacking plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens.
Well, I have a lot to say about this, obviously, as a Christian myself. Number one, this was not the time or place for this nonsense, okay? If she wanted to spew political garbage, she could have found herself at a protest or a podcast where she had the space and opportunity to spew her political ideologies. A church, okay, for the most part, is not the place for you to sit there and spew woke, anti-Christ nonsense. And judging for what I gathered online about this ceremony, I think it was the National Prayer Service or something like that, but basically they had different representatives from different religious groups come together to pray, and I guess everybody had their chance to do a little sermon or whatever the case may be. And then she took this opportunity to be bipartisan and honestly annoying, Which brings me to my next point, which is that this is just self-righteousness on full display. She made this entire thing about her when the entire focus of the service was supposed to be about prayer and us coming together, different parts of different religions, and praying for our government. So now the whole story is now about her and her ideologies and her standing up to Donald Trump. Number 3, woke Christianity is a virus in our churches that we need to take out immediately. It has caused serious harm and serious damage to the body of Christ. And honestly speaking, it's going to take Christians who are bold enough and courageous enough to stand up to this nonsense for it to fully be taken out of our church. We got to stop sitting back and allowing these false preachers and these wolves in sheep's clothing to come into our churches, stand in front of our congregation, and preach complete heresy over and over and over again. It is absolutely ridiculous. Number 4. Okay, and I want to address what she said. And I know a lot of Christians don't say this or don't speak about this. I haven't heard anyone say this from a pulpit in a very, very long time. But I feel like it is important for us to remember that homosexuality is a sin. Okay, the LGBTQ community, every ideology, every spirit, every single thing associated with all of that is antichrist and is not biblical. Okay, and it's demonic. Okay, let's just remind ourselves of that, because I feel like that's something that we forget because we get caught up in the politics of it all. Homosexuality, lesbianism, transgenderism, it's a sin. Point blank, period. So for her to sit up there on that pulpit and advocate for sin in the name of Jesus Christ, again, is heresy. Moving on. Nothing that Donald Trump has proposed in regards to immigration or the LGBTQ community is antichrist or not in the Bible. At the end of the day, God is a God of order, and this is specifically about immigration. And it is possible for us to show mercy on those who are actually coming to this country to seek refuge from serious poverty and serious dangerous situations, and also stand up for the sovereignty of this country. We can in fact chew gum and walk at the same time. It does not have to be either or situation. And this woman, in her advocacy for migrants, she said, oh, they're the people that they clean our toilets, they pull our crops, they do all the grunt work that us Americans don't want to do. If you want a serf class, ma'am, just say that. If you want a slave class in this country to do the work that you're not willing to do, just say that. Because if you care about these people, if you're actually concerned about their well-being and you want to advocate for them to be able to stay in this country, you should do so because they're just human beings that you care about, okay? And not because they clean your toilet when you don't want to. Okay, so all in all, a couple of things that I want to kind of close off and say here. Number 1, Trump's victory was a green light for us to step things up and to be unashamed. We can no longer hide in the corner and let nonsense like this fly. You now have, you had it before, okay? It should not have made a difference. But I think at this point, if you're still unashamed to speak truth and to speak common sense, you need to get your life together, okay? Number 2, we cannot take these people seriously anymore. We have to just ignore them, because at the end of the day, the battle for common sense and decency in this country is still going. It's still raging, and it's very, very much just as contentious as it was before. But the only difference is, again, we do not have to stoop to the level that these people are requiring for us to stoop to. Even this whole situation with Elon Musk and the Nazi salute, this is like how many times are we going to do this, folks? So we could honestly just start ignoring them. The AOCs, the Elizabeth Warrens, the people that are going to be yelling and screaming at the top of their lungs anytime something mildly controversial is done, in Trump's administration, or one of his supporters says something that they interpret in a way that, may make things look worse than they actually are. We can actually just ignore them. And I really do think that we need to ignore them, because it's a waste of time and energy. And number 3, my final point here, we have to be relentless. We cannot allow the noise to distract us. Okay? We got to keep going. We have an entire country to save. So thank you for taking the time out to check out my channel. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead, subscribe, like, comment, hit notification bell, do all the things that you do. I hope you enjoy the remainder of your day. Thank you.